Hey guys, how's it going? This is Matt, and today I thought I'd share a few thoughts on Cleveland and the meetup that we went to, and talk a little bit about both, and some things that I just thought were really interesting. Um, uh, a lot of it kind of lines up with what I think and a lot of my other solves and theories and whatnot. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I just thought I'd share some commentary on it today, and hope everybody's doing well during the holidays. But yeah, I just thought it's kind of slow day today, so I thought I'd share some thoughts on Cleveland. So we decided to go to the meetup. We left and stayed in Nashville the first night, and then headed north and got there, and the hotel at the Legacy didn't have any power, so that was a little bit of a problem. But they got it ironed out like a couple of days later. But so we were able to go to the meetup and everything. But the next day, I think it was the day before the meetup, we actually went to the Butler, and we got there at the time that everybody kind of agreed to kind of not agreed to meet up there, but kind of like was going to meet up there so they could see other members and stuff. And I would say there was like, I don't know, 10 people there, and I got to meet some of them. And keep in mind, I was kind of on the outside of a lot of the group members, so I just didn't know how crazy any of these people were going to be in person. But everybody turned out to be, super nice and everything. And they introduced themselves, and I got to meet them there and got to see some of John's work, and it was just absolutely incredible. Um, seeing it like in Facebook groups and in John's group on the Facebook page. It, you can't like it doesn't compare. Like when you see the Cleveland image, even on 12 Treasures and the reconstructed view, it looks like glass. And then of course it's sitting behind glass, so I'm sure that helps. But I mean, the painting itself looks like glass. It's crazy cool how neat that is, and to see his that guy's work is just amazing. It's just something. But then we got to go through the entire museum, and I didn't go just for that. I wanted to see. I like art in general. A lot of it's attributed to the secret to learn to appreciate it, but seeing a lot of other works in there was pretty neat too. But but yeah, like my personal favorite was one I'd never seen before. It was called Sharon's Bell, I think was the name of it, and it's just like kind of a bell just sitting on this concrete slab, on the hillside of the mountains and stuff. And I just thought it was like just it's really cool how he like draws a nail sticking out of the slab, and there's like a little shadow to it and stuff like that. Just the detail in it, it was just the little nicks in the bell, stuff like that. It's like that really has to take time to do. And I've often wondered just how long does it take that guy to paint something? Just that's just crazy good. But so we did that, and then the next day we headed over to the meetup, and we got there, and there were some people there, and I don't want to say names because I don't know if they want to even be known here, but they were super nice, and they had like tables set up for us, and they gave out some pins and showed us like first edition copies of The Secret and stuff like that, and gave out little I don't know what you'd call them, little welcoming gifts, to some people, and then they kind of sat down, and most everybody's seen the video, so I'm not going to go too into a lot of what everyone said, but you got to meet the other searchers and stuff like that. Um, and it was just a lot of fun in general. So, but yeah, so as far as the Cleveland puzzle itself goes, I never really, I didn't like it. It's kind of weird. Like I didn't really care about it until I actually went, and I do that on a lot of these for some reason. Like once I go to the city or something, then I want to know more about it. So then I'll start looking into it. And even though it's not my favorite, like if I had to go off a favorite image, it'd be like New Orleans and Milwaukee. Those are just really pretty paintings. But So I never really cared. For some reason, I just never cared about Cleveland. And I wanted to come into this like not knowing the Sauls so much so I wouldn't be trapped in thinking just a certain way. That was my initial approach to it. And eventually, I did want to know the Sauls to see if it kind of linked up with what I discovered in New Orleans. And for all of that stuff, I got videos all over YouTube on that. There's like 10 of them about different places and what I think they did. As far as luck and getting one, good luck, because it's just I think a lot of these places have been bulldozed and stuff like that. But anyway, so back to Cleveland. So I went home and looked at it after that, and it just I started thinking about it, and you know, a lot of it didn't just it didn't sit right, and then I'm like looking at it and looking at it, and then I know one day I'm sitting there and I noticed Nixon. And I'm like, what in the hell is Nixon doing in there? Like, I mean, that's not random. That's there's a reason he's in there. So what is it though? And I went back to my method on how I think Byron and John did these things. And I've often said that these images and verses aren't they're not so much maps. Like maps give you like you go here, then you go here, then you go here, right? These are just city confirmers that gets us in a city, but doesn't show us how to move around in the city. You kind of just have to know what to do. Cleveland, I think, and Milwaukee may be this way. I don't know. Boston was somewhat this way, but the rest of them to me aren't. But they're they are the closest thing to a map that the secret actually gives us. With him actually putting a centaur up there for the Greek gardens and stuff like that, kind of in the coordinates gets us in Cleveland and stuff like that. You got the tower, and all this stuff is known. Everyone's known this forever. But what here, just sitting back and listening to other searchers, and keep in mind, I was very new to like meeting all these people and I'm a little bit shy by nature. I will talk to anyone, don't get me wrong, but I'm probably not going to run up to you, hey, how's it going? But it just sitting back and listening to a lot of these conversations, there still wasn't agreement on why things were wrote the way they were, or the cast was on the other side the way it was, etc. And so that this, I mean, I just had all of this stuff, bombarded to me at once. But it wasn't until I got back home that I saw the Nixon thing. So I put that on Facebook, and sure enough, someone goes, "Well, I forgot the guy's name, and I apologize for that." But he posted almost the exact same thing I did, with the exact same link to it. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not the only person that saw this and knows what this is. Now, I don't think a lot of people understand why it's in there, but I got my idea to it. A lot of people aren't going to agree with it, and that's okay. But I think this is what happened, and I think it's kind of neat. I think in the meetup, John is almost kind of doing a Byron thing when it comes to helping us out understand other puzzles through the Cleveland puzzle. And that is just by giving us his story. That's it. So what I mean by that is in these other puzzles, like let's see, the first chapter written in water near man with wind rose, that being and taking that in the just those lines in the image, you can clearly see that that's the Lewis and Clark expedition. And since you're near men with Wind Rose being Sacagawea because her name translates to bird woman, you know you're supposed to be Juan Baptiste. So he's just kind of playing this out in a magical way where you think you would have to become young to be uh, Juan Baptiste. So I'm assuming It's the fountain of youth because that's a good place to be young. And he did things that way, right? So in John's account of this, him and Byron are just riding around and they run across the cultural gardens, and Byron takes a look and says, "That'll do." Well, why would that do? And I think that would do because it simply had columns. In a playful way, you could see yourself at the White House with those columns because you had columns and then you had a wall. And a lot of people thought that, according to the verse, it should have been on the other side of the wall. Well, if you knew what you had to do, then the other side of the wall would make sense because it was a break in. And what I mean by a break in, I think in Byron's playful way, he has us somewhat just simply be Nixon. And we have to be in the White House. We're on the other side of the wall. And when you account John's story for what they did at the gardens, it is very short and it is very, very condensed. He says, they said, "This will do." Byron said, "This will do." They get out. John stands watch. He's the lookout. He tells us he's the lookout. Byron tells him to take some pictures. Byron takes pictures. I believe Byron took pictures as well and made notes and stuff. And then he goes behind the wall, does his thing, and covers it up. So if we look at that very condensed, it's almost like he's doing the same thing Byron does in his very condensed one or two line versions, one or two lines in the verses where he's telling a story as well. So if you look at the story of Watergate, and I think that's why Nixon is in there, we're kind of doing a Watergate thing here, is he's the lookout, he takes pictures, and Byron covers it up. That's the story of Watergate. That's the exact, and then Nixon gets in trouble for it. And from the artist's point of view, our centaur's out in the cold. He's exposed. He's all by himself, and that's kind of what happened to Nixon. And I think that's was the may have been the idea. Now, is that 100% what they did? I don't know. Was it completely random, like some people in the secret thinks it is? I just don't think it. I do not think it is. I don't think it's random that they um, he picked a baseball field to do something revere. I don't think he put the one in Chicago directly behind Lincoln accidentally. I think these places are actually chosen, and we just have to kind of like you know be playful in a sense and almost pretend and go back in time and create that event. The problem with the Cleveland puzzle was I don't think Byron could really tell the story with what was around him. All he had to work with were the columns and the wall in a place that he could bury something. That's why I think that trying to redo that event anywhere would have been hard. But why he had to do it in Cleveland, I don't know. That'd be a question for him or John. But we'll never get those answers. But that's I just found that very interesting after thinking about it and seeing the Nixon thing in there, and and that was it. That's like basically the thoughts I wanted to share. Was I just thought that was real interesting, and that kind of fits in my overall theories of most of these. The only like Montreal, I know who we're supposed to be, but I just don't know where we're supposed to go. In that one, and then the one for Milwaukee's is I don't even know. I have an idea for that one, but I just do not know who we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to do because that one was so well hid with the way that they did the painting and the verse. But it's a story, and it's a story we probably already know, but I just don't know what it is 100%. But that's it. And then so at the end of the meetup, we got to. finally, um, go up and the people could buy some of John's art, and my family was like ready to get out of there. They had enough because they're just not secreteers. And it was kind of neat. Like, as I got to, like, when I got up to meet John, I was telling him, like, yeah, we went to the Butler yesterday, and uh, I was telling him that the Sharon's Bell was my personal favorite one that he did, and he was telling me about it. But just standing there, just seeing him and knowing, like, I've been doing, battle of wits with this guy for like 3 years. I basically just heard a lot of Charlie Brown's teacher, at that time. But it was super awesome meeting him and his wife. His wife seemed like she's super super sweet too, and I got to meet George and a lot of the other kind of like big names in the secret, and it was a lot of fun. It really was, and I really hope they do another one. I'm If I had to lobby for one, it would be like New Orleans or someplace like that where we could go down there and really really kick it off somewhere. But that's it for this one. Like I said, I just wanted to share a few of those and some of my thoughts on it. If there was anything new to be learned from it, and I wish somebody would have asked him about the Nixon thing. But until even all these years, I'd never heard that mentioned in anything. And there was only one other post about it. And I'm like, how did so many people miss that? And at one point, he talked about stuff that people were missing, and he thought they were obvious things that people were missing. And my first thought when I heard that was like, yeah, it's the the St. Augustine one. Like, that's Sacagawea. It's like, that's kind of, to me, that one was the most. 'Cause I took one look at that thing and I'm like, why is Sacagawea on here? But then I read the verse, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But then when you really, really learn how to translate Byron and how he's just redoing American history, um, it gets a little easier, I think. And but yeah, like I said, I had a super fun time with it, and I think everybody else did too. But that's all I got for today. So you guys have a great some great holidays here coming up, and enjoy your time with your family, and have a good one. So talk to y'all later. Bye. Hey guys, I just wanted to bring up a couple of more points when it came to the meetup and my thoughts on Cleveland that I kind of missed in the initial taping. And the first one is, with the idea of John possibly giving us, clues to Watergate and the playful way that they may have been doing it. Um, you got to remember that both things can be true at the same time. Like, it can be actually what they did. And his story of what they did is what they did. And he's telling us, hints to Watergate and being playful in that way. And I just thought that's interesting that the idea that, like, yes, both can be true, and or maybe none of that happened. Maybe that's exactly what they did, and he didn't intend for any of that. But if he is kind of like, for lack of a better word, like trolling, kind of giving us clues to that being Watergate by using words like lookout and uh, covered up, like, Byron covered it up and stuff like that, then that's just like, that to me, that's just awesome, because it's just like, that's just really neat how you can drop hints like that, and I hope somebody can catch it. If then that, like I said, that is if he was doing that. And the second point I had was in the meetup, was the discussion of, he thought that a lot of the easier ones have been solved, and that kind of goes back to my idea of, like, we still kind of like need to know the story and like where to go and what to do. And like, so I bring up a lot of examples of this and other videos. But like I said, Cleveland was the most like a map, because Byron didn't really have everything that he could really see around him to help build that story of Watergate. And even if, I mean, could you even really do that really anywhere. I mean, that would be really, really hard to do. But he just needed some place that you could just pretend like you were at the White House with the columns, quote unquote, would do. So, but I just wanted to bring those 2 points up and again wish everybody a great holiday and secret on.